Hi guys, hope you're doing really well. If you're interested in private coaching, go to www.coachcat.org. And if you are enjoying or getting something out of this content, then feel free to like and subscribe. I will, in this video, what I'm going to talk about is some ways that you may be able to sort of avoid getting into relationships with manipulators. And in terms of manipulators, you don't need to have a label. I mean, we could say narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, borderlines, or just people that are really selfish and manipulative. So here are some, sort of red flags to look for. And here's some ways that you can work on yourself to avoid sort of getting into these relationships. And some of these are going to be really hard if you have some codependent, people-pleasing characteristics. When you're an empath, you want everyone to be happy. You try to be, nice to everyone. You might be a bit of a people pleaser. And you might have to really tone down some of those natural qualities. I think those are beautiful things. I think having empathy is a beautiful, awesome thing, and the world needs empathy. But I just think you need to not slip on your compassion, not slip on your empathy, and have equal amounts of empathy for yourself that you have for other people. So here are some ways that you can avoid getting into a narcissistically abusive relationship. Number one, learn how to set clear, healthy boundaries. And in order to do this, you need to know what your boundaries are. What is your moral code? What are your bottom lines that you don't cross, right? That you have internal boundaries that are clear and healthy and external boundaries. And in order to do this, you need to be able to know your truth and to tell your truth. And this is going to help you to avoid gaslighting. When you start to value your own core truth and your own values, then it's going to be really hard for somebody to truly gaslight you. When someone makes you question your reality the first time or the second time, stop and pause. If you're having communication with somebody and you're like, wait, did they misunderstand me? Did they think I meant this and I really said this? If they're telling you you didn't see what you saw, you didn't hear what you heard, you're misunderstanding me, you're misinterpreting me. If that happens over and over again in the early stages of a relationship, I would be very careful because you know your truth. And once you get really clear on what your truths are, then it's going to be a lot harder for somebody to make you question your reality or your perception, right? And then that also comes into trying to have really clear communication. And I know this can be hard if you have codependent characteristics. You might be a little bit passive aggressive without meaning to be, because you're afraid of offending people or stepping on their toes or hurting people's feelings. But you might have to just push past some of those fears. One of my wise friends is like, you don't owe everyone, you don't owe people what you think you do. Because I'm always like overly conscientious and worried about hurting people's feelings. And sometimes in that process, I allow my feelings to get hurt. And I second guess myself and I question myself. So also don't gaslight yourself. Be cautious about somebody who's really overtly charming, who's very, very charming and charismatic and full of seduction and flattery. If somebody is giving you a lot of that, of course, if you're codependent or if you're an empath, or even if you're somebody that has, maybe not the most healthy self-esteem, you might have a little hole in your soul that wants somebody to see you and understand you and to know you, right? Well, be careful with that, because sometimes narcissists zero in on the fact that you have this hole inside of you and they will fill it up with their love bombing. And I would just be very cautious when somebody is overly charming. Pay attention. Do their words match their actions? If they're telling you you're so amazing, they've never met anyone like you, and you guys are meant to be together, or blah, 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 but then they go dark and you can't reach them, or they're not very, they're kind of out of sight, out of mind, or you feel like there's something weird going on with the communication, or you try to set boundaries and they don't like it, or they push back, or they don't respect your boundaries. Notice, are their words matching their actions? And are their words Are they direct? Are they direct, honest, open, authentic communicators? Or is there some weird ambiguity or obtuse characteristics to their communication? Those are just things to watch for. Watch the small signs. How does this person react to stress, road rage? Do they, show contempt? How are they with the little people? How are they with the waiter? How are they with the people who can do nothing for them? How are they with the gas station attendant? How are they with the sales clerks? Are you feeling this competition or road rage with other drivers? That's something to look for. And I'm not saying every narcissist has road rage. And also some people have road rage and they're not narcissists, but these are just watch the subtle cues, the small signs. Look at their relationships. Do they have long-term, emotionally intimate relationships, or are their relationships all surface and shallow? If you meet their friends, talk to their friends. See how long they've known this person. See what they have to say about them. Also, success and money. Don't glorify success and money, because you can be schmoozed by this. Just because somebody has a lot of money, fame, celebrity, all of that, that doesn't mean that they're a good person. Don't assume that just because they have, what this world and what the external world calls success, that this is a kind person, because they might not be a kind person. And sometimes you can get sort of snowed by somebody who's so successful and so wealthy and so charismatic and so charming. These are just sort of things are they entitled? Are they, with their money, are they giving? Are they benevolent? Do they give to charities? Are they generous souls? Are they loving? Are they kind? These are things to look for. Sorry about that. I should probably turn the volume down on I'll turn it down. So, and then how do they react to boundaries, right? Entitled people do not like boundaries, right? Entitled people don't like the word no. They set your boundaries, hold your boundaries. How do they react? Do they agree in the moment and then try to push them later? Do they make you feel like you're silly and old-fashioned and archaic for even having boundaries? Do they push your boundaries in either overt ways or subtle ways? Do they react very overtly and reactionary to your boundaries? What happens when you say no? Do they punish you? Do they do the takeaway? If you say no, or I need to take things slow, do they do the takeaway? That's something to watch for. Watch, are they punishing you when you set boundaries? And it could be very subtle, but are they doing that? So that's something to look for. And then stop giving second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth chances. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So just notice that. And then watch for backhanded compliments. If this person is well, I could be with somebody much richer than you, but I'm choosing you. Or I could be with somebody that has a better job than you, but I'm choosing you. Or I could be with somebody who's younger than you, but I'm choosing you. That's actually a backhanded compliment. If it makes you feel weird and you're oh, that didn't feel like a compliment, that's something to notice. And if you feel that there's a hierarchical sort of thing going on where, in subtle ways, they are showing their superiority to you. And sometimes this can be that, they know something that you don't know, and they're throwing out these terms that you don't know. And they're oh, well, have you ever done this? Or have you ever read this? And you feel somehow you're inferior. That's something to notice. In the first few months of dating, especially, you shouldn't be made to feel you're less than, inferior, you're so lucky to have them. That's not how healthy people treat other healthy people, because it's not, that's not respectful. That's not kind. So these are just things to look for. And then really, this is key. Surround yourself with kind, honest, authentic people. This dichotomy will become much more obvious if you have a strong community support and family support of kind people, authentic people, honest people, people that will tell you the truth, who love you, who know you. It's going to be much harder for narcissists to work their dirty tricks on you, and you will, the inauthenticity of narcissists will become much more obvious the more you surround yourself with authentic, kind, loving people. People that admit, yeah, we're all messed up. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. We all have character defects, and that's okay. That's not the end of the world that we're human. It's okay to be human. And my friends, I'm so lucky because I'm surrounded by these kinds of people that are authentic, and I've known them for a really long time. And these people will call me out on my BS, and they don't expect me to be perfect. I don't expect them to be perfect, but we love each other and we give each other sage counsel and wise advice. I feel so fortunate to be surrounded by people like that. So yeah, it's going to be a great protection against manipulators, because once you start introducing this person to your friends, and then ask your friends like, hey, what do you really think of this person? And let them tell you the truth and listen to what they say. What do your friends and family say about this person? And then, somebody treats you with contempt, disdain, superiority, or they're disingenuous, or they're not authentic, and there's something off. I really encourage you to notice that. Be strong in who you are. Be strong in your moral code, and trust your intuition. Be your authentic self, and do not compromise your values for somebody else. Stick to your truth, and when you do that, liars will have no place in your life. So I hope that you are thriving and you're strong and you're doing radical self-care, because these are the things that will help protect you against manipulative relationships. Have a wonderful day and be strong. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.